Maids. Everybody loves maids. They can cook, they can clean, they can erase your enemies. What? So who wouldn't want to watch a high energy anime about one of the world famous Akihabara maid cafes? But if you're coming in expecting a reskinned Blend S, then you are in for quite the surprise. Because if I had to pick a single word to describe Akiba Maid War, that word would be fucking mental. People like to talk about shows going from 0 to 100 real quick. Well, this show goes from 0 to 100 instantaneously, rips the damn roof off the car because it's just slowing him down, and runs through a wall at Mach 5. But before we get into all that, I did think about maybe making this video without spoiling too much, but it's just not possible to do. I mean, the damn show does it itself in the first 10 seconds and then again in the OP, but if you haven't seen anything from this show and are someone who absolutely has to go into every show completely blind, then you're going to want to open up another tab, start the first episode, immediately skip to like 3 minutes in, and then come back and finish this video. But actually though, if you don't come back, I will know. But all right, let's just dig into this. Everybody knows what a maid cafe is. Maybe you're a fake weeb and never actually been to one before, but we all know what they are. A series of cafes and restaurants primarily centralized in Akihabara, Tokyo, where you can go in and be served by cute Japanese chicks in maid outfits and get charged out the ass for some admittedly pretty fire omelet rice. They can be wildly successful, since they have the ability to farm parasocial relationships like a hot tub streamer on Twitch. But because of this, they also have a tendency to build up regulars who only ever go to one cafe and realistically only ever ask for one specific maid to serve them at that cafe. When you take this and the fact that most people in Akiba on a given day that would be going into one of these maid cafes are tourists who are only really there for the day, it becomes very important to be competitive and proactive with getting new customers. Otherwise, they'll just go to whichever one has the highest Yelp score or is the closest to them when they decide it's time to eat. You know, it's that simple. This is why if you're walking around Aki during peak hours, you're very likely to see a bunch of cute girls in maid outfits handing out flyers and maybe tissues or something else like that with it to try and entice you to go to their cafe over all the others. And this is semi-effective because turns out it's a little difficult for your typical otaku walking around Akiba to turn down an invitation from a cute girl in cosplay. So you can do that. You can go out hustling, trying to, grab a couple customers here or there. Or, and hear me out on this one, you could just massacre all the maids of your rival cafe and reduce your competition that way. In the world of Akiba Maid War, that's not even like a wild proposition that I just made. Basically, just take whatever gang or cartel or mob or whatever you've got in your hometown, we've all got some variant, and just replace them with maids. And that's the world these characters are living in. When that aforementioned bloodbath does actually happen in the show, the news' statement on it is instantly assuming that it was a rival maid organization taking them out like it's just a regular part of the world. Not to mention that while most people look at maids the same way an average person in our world would, anybody involved at all in any shady shit looks at them very differently. This world of death and penlights is not one that our main character Nagami is aware of at all, though. At the start of the series, she arrives in Akiba all bright-eyed and curly-tailed, looking to fulfill her lifelong dream of working in the service industry. But in a maid cafe, which could be better, I guess. Nagami is the typical super cute but ditzy small town girl who is very optimistic, but also very oblivious to the world she is getting herself into. Not to mention just being all around super clumsy and not very coordinated. The cafe she gets her shot at is Tom Tokotom, otherwise known as the Pig Hut, which is a small pig-themed cafe. I don't know why they chose to go with the pig theme, but people are into what they're into, I guess. The day that she starts working there is the same day that another new hire, Ronko, a cool and calm older woman who looks like she's straight out of some SDF Special Forces, also gets her start working at the same place.
Moe, kyun.
These two are joining the only other two members of the cafe, which are Yumechi and Shipon. Very much what you'd expect of your typical lolly or gyaru maids, or at least that's what they're going for their regulars, but when we see them away from the customers, it's very clear that they're veterans of the maid world doing what they gotta do, and are also more than a little desensitized to everything that's going on around them. Again, a world that Nagami has no idea about, even though she's super into maids and has wanted to be one her whole life, and the fact that it's really not kept that much of a secret. Like, I'm not exactly sure how Nagami or anybody else in this world isn't aware of the fact that all this shit is going on. The only other character in the cafe that we get early on is the manager of the cafe, who is basically the instigator of all the bullshit they inevitably have to deal with, which pretty much all stems from the fact that she is denser than a brick wall, especially when it comes to money. She owes debts and favors to so many people and is basically at all of their mercies now. And since she's so fucked up, the maids of her cafe have no other choice but to dive headfirst into the shady underground of the maid world to support their cafe and their position within it, which is something they're genuinely willing to defend to the death, like a Yakuza supporting their family to the bitter end. More out of like honor and loyalty to their organization than just because it's their job, which is kind of a cool dynamic, honestly. And it makes it so the girls aren't just running headfirst into a burning building over their minimum wage paycheck. It's for minimum wage and also a sense of camaraderie with their coworkers. You can probably sell that for like $250 or so. And this world has a lot of shady stuff for them to get involved in. It's just like any Yakuza-based media you've probably consumed before, where they are just everywhere, and there exists this insanely large and complex underground society, all interconnected, with here the maids in place of the Yakuza, having a hand in all of it. Illegal casinos, but with maids. Hitmen, who are maids. Rare art smuggling. Those ones are anime figures though, which is kind of sick. And underground fighting rings. But, and you'll never believe this, they're maids. And that's kind of the show right there. Not really anything deep I can say about this one. It's just straight crazy, but I'm loving it. The show is absolutely hilarious and absurd and wild without like fully jumping the shark. And they can actually dial it down and focus on the massive trauma that all of this shit is causing to Nagami without the show feeling too dark because of it. When I say this show is absurd, I mean really absurd. After watching it, it is hard to think of another show that is really similar to it. It's just a different experience. I can't think of another show that's so crazy while taking it in any way close to this. Because I could name a dozen off-the-wall, insane shows that are fun to watch. And also tons of shows with over-the-top action and violence. But not anything with a good mix of them. And I really don't know how they do it. But they mix in this perfect way that keeps it almost grounded in a way where it's never so dumb that you just roll your eyes or cringe. But also without them ever taking their foot off the gas. Which makes scenes like this feel less silly than this. Also, I've seen plenty of brain dead takes saying the show is just gore porn and hard to watch, and this is extremely smooth brain behavior. This show has so much death and blood that it skips right over being obsessive straight to comical. Not to mention that it's only ever blood and never any organs or gore or anything like that. So if you're not a fan of gore, or any of that stuff, then you'll probably still be totally fine watching this show. And if that is what you're into, you're probably not getting your rocks off here. Maybe go watch like Cyberpunk Edgerunners or something. I don't know. And the only character who is not totally desensitized to all of this is Nagami, which is why they can have this side plot about her essentially dealing with PTSD from everything that happens, which also is one of my favorite parts of the show because it keeps it a little more grounded, like I was saying, without taking away from the high pace and fun, and is a nice change of pace and tone without feeling jarring at all. All in all, Akiba Maid Cafe is easily one of the best maid cafe shows that we've ever had. I mean, just look at it this way. Maid-sama never had a scene of Misaki blowing somebody's brains out, so that's an instant -2 from me, Chief. And, once again, we have another great show demonstrating the power of anime originals. First, because we get to take advantage of comedic timing on the jokes and just wild mixes of music and animation like what we got at the end of the first episode that simply could not be a thing in a manga form or light novel for that matter. Also, the fact that this is the first place it's getting seen is the only reason you can put it into the talk of like most shocking first episodes of an anime ever. The only reason it doesn't take the crown from the current reigning champion and another anime original in Zombieland Saga is because of how their marketing executed on it and how it came out of absolutely nowhere. But that's a whole story for another video. At the end of the day, the show is wild, it's nonsensical, and it's fun as hell. So if you're looking for a show to throw on and take your mind off of whatever bullshit you're dealing with in your life, then this is definitely one that is going to be great for that. I really do wish I had more to say about this show, but it's really something that you just need to experience for yourself, which is something that I highly encourage. So go watch it. And if you enjoyed the video, then make sure to subscribe and do the engagement thing down below, because as you might have noticed, I have moved and set up this new set and everything since the last video. But I'm finally settled in and at a point where I'm able to put some real time into this and start getting these videos to you guys much more frequently. And also just keep making them more and more enjoyable. So make sure you guys are there for that. And let me know what you thought about this video so that I can keep making them better. And I'll see you guys all again soon. Peace.